Hi, this is Dan for Tech Digest and Shiny Shiny, and I'm here today with the Nikon Coolpix P6000 compact camera. Now this is the best and most complicated compact camera I've ever used. It is top of the Nikon Coolpix range, and it's really aimed at professional photographers as a carry-around camera, or people who are serious about their cameras who have perhaps a DSLR as well. When they can't be bothered to carry those, you carry one of these instead. So what it's got, as well as normal compact camera stuff, it's got all your, as you can see on the top, it's got manual mode, aperture priority, shutter priority, and of course programmable as well, where both the shutter speed and the aperture are linked. So the exposure is essentially the same, but you can change it depending upon your depth of field you want, or that kind of thing, or the amount of blur you might want in your image as well. It also, the lens is it's a nickel lens with the ED glass elements in as well as vibration reduction too, which obviously comes from the DSLRs. But on the compact side of things, you also get all your scene modes too. It's got, I think, 16 different scene modes, as you might find with a compact camera, as well as, of course, you get your automatic mode as well. So if you just want basic pointing and shooting, you've got that too. Like a compact camera, it's of course got a flash involved, but that's hidden just below there. Also, if you want to go on the DSLR route, it's got a hot shoe on the top too, so you can actually attach an external flash as well. There is as well, like a digital SLR camera, you can get a lens you can screw onto it too for a wide angle, but I haven't actually used that one. And also I believe it's only one, so you don't get a lot of options there. Now, with all that, it's not the world's easiest camera to use. It's got a really good interface, but the problem is you can't always access everything you want to in each mode. For example, in automatic you're really shut off from the rest of the camera. It's very hard to do what you want. But when you're in manual, suddenly you're presented with a lot of options, and it can be quite hard to do something as simple as putting it in monochrome or something like that. So often you have to remember which mode you're in, as to what you can access and how you can manipulate your image in your photography. But once you grasp it, and if you keep using it, it is worth persevering with. You really will get the hang of it.
As well as having USB there, it's also actually got an Ethernet port too, which is rather useful for transferring much quicker, of course. And one thing that makes this camera very special is the fact that it has GPS as well. So you can actually geotag your photos as you take them, and you don't have to use all the battery power in the world, because you can just set it to find your GPS location just when you turn the camera on and off, so it's not on constantly.
Externally, it's a really nice thing to use as well. It looks very much like the DSLRs, but in small format. The finish on it is like the DSLRs that Nikon do. It's got the rubber grip on it here, a little rubber thumb pad here as well, which is really nice. I mean, it feels really good in your hand. Now, the only problems I've really got with this, first of all, the viewfinder is terrible. It's really bad. I mean, you just wouldn't use it because it curves the vision, it just looks really bad. Obviously that's the major difference between an SLR and a compact. You're not looking straight down the lens, so the viewfinder's terrible. The other bad thing about it, which is a real shame, is that despite having all this control of the aperture, you can actually only get between 5.5 and 7.9 on the f-stops. So generally you can't get as much light as you want. I mean, that's really quite low for apertures, so it's very hard to use the manual mode unless you're in really good sunlight. Apart from that, I'd say this is actually a fantastic camera. It is rather expensive at £429. I'm sure I've seen it slightly cheaper somewhere, like maybe just below the £400 mark. But certainly if you're very serious about your photography, if you like your cameras a lot and you don't want to get something big, then I really would recommend this. I think it's a great camera.